Our first function that we are going to study everything about it is the linear function. And as I told you before, linear function is a function of first degree, or we can simply write it as f of x is equal mx plus. If you remember, m is the gradient or the slope of the straight line, and b is the y-intercept. So do you remember y is equal, slope is equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's go a direct example asking for the slope. What is the slope between these 2 points? So directly you say that it's 1 minus 3 and negative 2 minus 2. So it's negative 2 over negative 4. I cancel the negative, so it's 2 over 4, which can be simplified to be half after dividing each term by 2. So directly, if I have 2 points and I wanted to find the slope by using the rule y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What if the given is in the form of the function f of negative 1 is equal to 2 and f of 3 is equal to negative 4? Directly, I change this form into order pair. So negative 1 is with 2 and 3 is with negative 4. How I can find the slope? So negative 4 minus 2 over 3 minus negative 1. So it's negative 6 over 4, which is equal to negative 3 over 2. So notice that if I have a function equal to number, I can write it as order. Number 3, I have a given table and I wanted to find the slope. So you can decide any 2 points, any 2 points. For example, I'm going to take this order pair. So negative 1 is negative 4. And let's take this order pair, 2 and 2. So the slope is 2 minus negative 4, 2 minus, and don't forget minus, because I'm going to change it to positive, over 2 minus negative 1, which is going to be 2 plus 1. So it's 6 over 3, which is equal to 2. Another method, from 0 to 2, you add 2. From 1 to 2, you add 1. And 2 over 1 is equal to 2. And you can use it if you are smart enough or you have a self-confidence, a big self-confidence in your steps of work. So directly, again, from 0 to 2, I add positive 2. From 1 to 2, I add positive 1. So 2 over 1 is the slope. Let me remind you that we have 4 kinds of slope. If the straight line is rising from left to right, rising up, the slope is positive. But if the straight line is moving down from left to right, moving down, the slope is negative value. In case of a horizontal line, the slope is 0, and horizontal, it means parallel to the x-axis. And in this case, the equation of the straight line is y equal. For example, y is equal 2, y is equal negative 3, y is equal 5. And finally, if the straight line is a vertical line, and in this case, the slope is undefined. I don't have a slope. And the equation is x is equal this number. For example, if this number is 2, so x is equal to. This number is 3, so x is equal to 3. If this number is negative, so x is equal to negative. So I have 4 kinds of slope. The slope could be positive value, integer, rational, fraction, decimal, but a positive value, or negative, 0, and undefined. I have represented for you how to find the slope if the given is 2 points. But for any SET questions, if the straight line is graphed, and you have the graph of the straight line, you are going to find the slope by plotting 2 points and find the value of rising over run. Rise over run. And don't forget, that the slope here is a positive value. Again, you should learn how to find the slope from a graph line because you are going to use it a lot while you are solving the SAT questions. The graph is rise over run, rise over run. You plot 2 points and you count the number of rising dividing the number of run. Let's take two direct questions. Number one, I have a graph line. This point is the origin, and 1, 2, 3, 4 is the x-intercept, 1 and 2 is the y-intercept. First, I should decide that the slope is negative. I should decide is the slope is. So don't forget that the slope is negative. Then I'm going to plot 2 clearly point on the straight line, rise 2, and run 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So the slope here is negative 1 over 2. Don't take 2 points and find the slope y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 because that will take about 30 seconds from your time, and skill time management is very important for you while you are solving the SAT. Now, let's go to another example. This point is the origin. This point is 1, 2, 3. And let's take this point, which is at negative 2. And I wanted to find the slope, and I'm sure that the slope here is positive. After plotting 2 points, let's count the rising. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I raised 4 and I ran 2. So it's 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. And I'm sure that the straight line, its slope is positive. Now, if I wanted to find the equation of this straight line, I'm going to write it as y is equal negative half x plus 2. Why is 2? Because it's intersecting the y-axis at 2. But the equation of this line is y is equal 2x plus 3 because the y-intercept is 3. We have studied a few minutes ago how to find the slope between 2 given points, how to find the slope from a graph. Now, the third type is how to find the slope from a given equation. We have 2 kinds of equations. The first equation is in the form y is equal mx plus b, and the second is in the form ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. If you have this form, you don't need to rewrite it as y is equal mx plus b. All what you have to do to figure out the slope that you are taking the coefficient of x, and you change its sign. If it's positive, you change it into negative, additive inverse, and you divide the value by coefficient of y. But if the equation is a form y is equal to mx plus b, so directly the slope is the coefficient of x, which is equal to m. And notice that arranging of the equation is very important. You should arrange the equation first. Y-intercept, I mean the point that intersect the y-axis, the point that intersect the y-axis. For example, find the slope and the y-intercept of the following equation. So in each one of them, I'm going to write what is the slope, what is the y-intercept. But it's important for me to figure out the slope. It's very important to figure out the slope, not the y-intercept. For number 1, it's in the form of y is equal mx plus b. So the slope is equal to 2. The y-intercept is 1. For number 2, the slope is negative 3. The y-intercept is equal to negative 2. For number 3, the slope is 2 over 3, and the y-intercept is 0. It means that this straight line passes through the point 0 and 0. So if I don't have b, it means that this straight line passing through the origin. Number 4, the equation is y is equal negative 3. y is equal -3 is a straight line. If this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, so y is equal -3 is a horizontal line, and it's parallel to the x-axis, so the slope is equal to 0. And the y-intercept in this case is -3. But for number 4, x is equal 4 is passing through the point x is equal 4. I don't have y-intercept, no y-intercept. And the slope in this case is undefined. So don't forget that this is a vertical line. This is a vertical line. Regarding number 6, I'm going to divide each term by 2. So y is equal x plus 1. So the slope is equal to 1, and the y-intercept is equal to half. The y-intercept is equal to half. Find the slope and the y-intercept of the following straight line, and as we can see, the form of this equation is a bit different. For number 7, I need to rewrite the equation by dividing each term by -3. So the equation y is equal to 2/3x plus, because negative is positive, 5/3. So it's clear for me that the slope is 2/3, and the y-intercept is 5/3. For number 8, I can rewrite it as y is equal, moving -2 to the other side, so it's going to be 2x plus 2, divide each term by 2. So y is equal x plus 1. So the slope is 1, and the y-intercept is 1. For number 9, I prefer to use the rule that the slope is equal negative coefficient of x divided the coefficient of y. So it's negative. What is the coefficient of x? Coefficient of x is 2/7. What the coefficient of y? Coefficient of y is 1/5. So it's -2 multiplied by 5/7 times 1. So it's -10/7. If you don't know how to solve this one, you can rewrite it as -2/7 divided 1/5. Later, this change into fraction, find the reciprocal of 1/5, change from division to multiplication. -2 by 5 is -10, 1 by 7 is 7. So it's -10/7. Now, I have 3 relations between two straight lines. I have two straight lines which is never intersect, they are parallel, or two straight lines which are intersect, and two straight lines which are intersect at a right angle. So parallel, intersect, and we are not going to study in the intersect because these two simultaneous equation, or two straight lines intersect at right angle. And I'm going to study the relation between their slope. The first one, if the two lines are parallel, so they have the same slope. But in the second, if the two lines are perpendicular, it means that one of the slope is a negative reciprocal of the other. If one of them is 1/3, so the negative reciprocal, I'm going to change it into negative and flip 1/3 to be 3/1. So here is an example or a drill that we need to fill about the slope of parallel lines and slope of perpendicular lines. Consider that the first line, its slope is 2/3. So the straight line which is parallel to it is going to be 2/3. but the straight line which is perpendicular to it is going to be -3/2. So I flip, I change the sign. But what if the first one is -3, the second is -3 in case of parallel? But in case of perpendicular, it's going to be 1/3, as we can rewrite -3 as -3/1. So I flip and I change the sign. But what about -1/3? It's -1/3. But what about the perpendicular? It's 3. I flip, I change the sign. I wanted to add something here. If the first straight line, its slope is 0, so the second straight line, its slope is 0, but the perpendicular, its slope is undefined. This is the relation between two parallel or perpendicular lines or function. Now, in our real life application, it's very important to understand if you have a function f of x is equal mx plus b, or you have equation y is equal mx plus b, each increasing of x with 1 will make change of y with m, and each decreasing with x with 1 will make a change of y with m. What does it mean? It means that, for example, if y or f of x is a charge 20 per hour plus 50 as a constant amount for renting a car. Again, you are going to rent a car. The price to rent this car is 50 as a constant fee or initial value. So B here, we don't say that B is a y-intercept. No, we say that B here is an initial value. You are going to pay 50. Then for every kilometers or every hour you are going to drive this car, you are going to pay 20. So for every increase of x with 1, and if I increase the kilometers from 1 to 2, or the number of kilometers from 3 to 4, the number of kilometers are increased by 1, the value of y is increased by the slope. So the value of slope is 20. For example, if you're going to rent this car for 1 hour, you are going to pay 70 at x is equal 1. 50 and 1 hour for 20. But if you are going to rent this car for 2 hours, y will be 90. 20 times 2 plus 50. So with each increase of x1, the value of y increased by m. And every decrease with m1, the value of m decreased by m. Something else, with each increase with y, which is here 20, with every increase of y is 1, the value of x increased by 1 over m, reciprocal of the slope, reciprocal of the slope. And every decrease with y1, x decrease with the reciprocal of the slope. This is very important for the real life application that we figure it out or we find in SAT questions. So 50 considered as initial value or a constant value or a first payment or a first fees for using a surface, but 20 represent the rate of a change, rate of change. This is about the linear function.